What would you do if the feds stormed your house, flipped it upside down, and walked away with evidence that could unravel your entire life? That's the wild reality Sean Diddy Combs faced when federal agents raided his sprawling Los Angeles and Miami mansions back in March 2024. We're talking about a hip-hop mogul, someone who's built an empire on beats, brands, and a larger-than-life persona, suddenly thrust into a spotlight he never wanted. And now, nearly a year later, the whispers are turning into screams. Photos from those raids are finally trickling out, and they're painting a picture way darker than anyone expected. But here's the real kicker. Allie Carter, a name you might have scrolled past online, claims she's been shouting about this for years. Secret rooms, twisted parties, and horrors hidden behind Diddy's glitzy walls. So, what's the truth? Buckle up, because this story's about to take you places you won't believe. Let's rewind a bit. Diddy's no stranger to headlines. Bad boy records, multi-million-dollar deals, star-studded events. But this isn't about champagne and red carpets. The feds didn't just knock politely, they came in heavy, guns drawn, tearing through his properties like they were hunting for something big. And according to what's leaking out, they found it. Over 1,000 bottles of baby oil, rifles stashed away, electronics ripped apart. It's the kind of haul that raises eyebrows and begs questions. Was this just a wild party gone wrong, or something way more sinister? Allie Carter's voice cuts through the noise, insisting she's seen the underbelly of Diddy's world firsthand. She's talking about freak-off parties, events so disturbing they'd make your skin crawl, tied to allegations that go beyond anything you'd imagine from a music icon. The internet's buzzing with rumors, lawsuits are piling up, and now Diddy's facing a trial that could flip the script on everything we thought we knew. Some say it's all smoke, a smear campaign against a legend. Others, they're pointing to Carter's claims and asking why so much lines up with what the feds uncovered. This isn't just about one man's downfall. It's a peek into a shadowy side of fame that rarely sees the light. And trust me, what's coming next is going to keep you glued. From the chaos of those raids to the whispers of secret tunnels and the voices of those who say they've lived it, we're diving deep into a story that's equal parts shocking and impossible to ignore. Ready to see where this rabbit hole leads? Let's go. So, picture this. It's a sunny March day in 2024, and suddenly, federal agents swarm two of the most jaw-dropping properties in the country, Diddy's Los Angeles Palace in Holmby Hills and his Miami waterfront gem. We're not talking about a casual visit here. These were full-on raids, the kind you see in movies with helicopters buzzing overhead and agents storming in like they meant business. What sparked this chaos? A sex trafficking investigation that had been simmering for months, and it hit boiling point that day. Witnesses said it was unreal. Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian, caught in the crossfire, lasers from rifles flashing on their chests as agents barked orders. Imagine being a neighbor, sipping coffee, watching this unfold at a house worth over $60 million. Pretty mind-blowing, right? The feds didn't mess around. In LA, they hit Diddy's 17,000 square foot mansion. Think marble floors, insane views, the works, and turned it inside out. Safes were cracked open, computers yanked apart, and anything that could hold a secret was fair game. Down in Miami, same deal. His Star Island estate got the full treatment. Sources say agents walked out with boxes, loads of them, stuffed with whatever they dug up. Diddy wasn't even there. He was off in Miami when the LA raid kicked off. And by the time word spread, his private jet was tracked hopping between cities. Was he running? Nah, his team says he was just living his life. But the timing? Suspicious doesn't even cover it. Here's where it gets wilder. These weren't random sweeps. The Department of Homeland Security had been building a case, and this was their big move. Word on the street, or at least in the legal docs, ties it to allegations of some seriously dark stuff tied to Diddy's world. The raids happened just months after his ex, Cassie, dropped a bombshell lawsuit claiming years of abuse, and others started stepping forward with their own stories. Coincidence? You be the judge. What's clear is the feds left no stone unturned, literally. They even checked out an underwater swimming tunnel in the LA place, a quirky feature that's got folks whispering about secret escapes. Spoiler, it's just a fancy pool thing, but we'll get to those rumors later. The fallout was instant. Diddy's camp called it a witch hunt, insisting he's done nothing wrong. But the images, agents hauling out evidence, his sons in cuffs before being let go, hit the internet like a wildfire. People started asking, what's a music mogul got to hide that needs this kind of heat? And Allie Carter? She's out there saying she's not surprised, claiming she's been warning everyone about what goes down behind those gates. Whether you buy her story or not, one thing's for sure, those raids shook up everything. But wait, there's more. The stuff they found inside is where this gets really twisted. Stick around because you won't believe what's next. Now, let's talk about what the feds actually walked away with after flipping Diddy's mansions upside down. You ready for this? When those agents stormed out of his LA and Miami pads in March 2024, they weren't carrying coffee mugs or spare change. Nope, they hauled out evidence that's got everyone's jaw on the floor. According to the indictment unsealed later that year, they nabbed over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Yeah, you heard that right, 1,000. Plus, 3 AR-15 rifles, a drum magazine, and a stash of narcotics that still got people scratching their heads. This wasn't some casual spring cleaning find, it's the kind of haul that screams something wild was going down. What's a music legend need with all that? That's the question buzzing everywhere. Digging deeper, the feds also ripped out electronics, computers, hard drives, anything that could store a secret. They didn't just grab stuff, they dismantled it, like they were hunting for digital ghosts. Sources say Diddy's team tried to spin it, claiming the oil and lube were just party supplies, nothing shady. But when you pair that with the guns and drugs, it starts looking less like a fun night and more like a scene from a crime flick. The indictment ties it all to what they're calling freak-off parties, events where things allegedly got dark, fast. We're talking controlled substances handed out like candy, keeping people compliant, and some seriously non-consensual vibes. Disturbing doesn't even cover it. What's crazier is how this lines up with Allie Carter's claims. She's been out there saying Diddy's places were built for these twisted get-togethers. Rooms decked out for chaos, hidden corners where the unthinkable happened. The feds didn't find tunnels to the Playboy Mansion, sorry, rumor mill, but that underwater swimming tunnel to the grotto? It's real, and it's got people wondering what else might have been tucked away. Those 1,000 bottles aren't just a quirky detail, they're a clue. A thread in a web that's starting to unravel. And the rifles? Not your average home defense stash. Those are military grade, hinting at a level of control that's hard to ignore. The internet went nuts when this dropped. Some fans still defend Diddy, saying it's all blown out of proportion. Maybe he just likes bulk shopping at Costco, right? But then you've got others pointing to the narcotics, the weapons, and asking, who needs that much firepower and lube unless something's seriously off? It's not just about what they found, it's what it suggests. A lifestyle, a pattern, a secret side of fame that's starting to spill out. And that's not even the half of it. Because when you add in the lawsuits piling up against him, this story takes a turn you won't see coming. Hang tight, we're about to peel back another layer. So, the feds found a stash that could stock a small army or a very weird party. But what pushed this whole mess into overdrive? Lawsuits. A flood of them, hitting Diddy like a tidal wave. Each one piling on accusations that make those baby oil bottles look like the least of his worries. It all kicked off in November 2023 when Cassie Ventura, his ex-girlfriend of over a decade, dropped a bombshell. She claimed Diddy didn't just break her heart, he broke her spirit, alleging years of physical abuse, forced encounters, and even rape. She painted a picture of a man who controlled her life, right down to the gritty details, and said it wasn't just her, others were trapped in his orbit too. Diddy settled that one fast, denying it all, but the ink was barely dry before more voices stepped up. Then came Jane Doe saying way back in 2003, Diddy and a couple of his crew assaulted her at a studio when she was just 17. Next, Joy Dickerson Neal hit him with a suit from 1991, claiming he drugged and attacked her after a date, leaving her life in pieces. And that's not all. Another woman, a former nanny, accused him of cornering her with non-consensual demands while she worked for him. These aren't one-offs. They're a pattern stretching across decades, and they're ugly. Diddy's camp swears it's all lies, a cash grab by people chasing his millions. But when you've got this many stories lining up, it's tough to brush off as coincidence. What's he hiding that keeps dragging these claims out of the shadows? Here's the kicker. These lawsuits didn't just spark the raids, they fueled them. Cassie's filing lit a match, and by early 2024, the feds were digging deep, connecting dots between her story and whispers of trafficking. Allie Carter's been screaming about this too, saying Diddy's world was a trap for the vulnerable, people coerced into things they couldn't escape. She's not alone, others online, like that TikTok guy K do, hint at seeing stuff that matches these claims. The accusations aren't pretty. Think forced participation, drugs to keep folks quiet, and a power trip that didn't care who got hurt. It's the kind of stuff that makes you wonder how much glitter fame can sprinkle over the rot. Diddy's fighting back hard, calling it a smear campaign, but the timing's brutal. Those raids in March 2024 came right as these lawsuits stacked up, and now he's staring down a trial that could crack it all open. Are these women telling the truth, or is this a coordinated hit? Either way, the heat's on, and it's exposing a side of his life that's anything but glamorous. But hold up, this isn't just about lawsuits. What really went down at those freak-off parties the feds keep circling? That's where this gets downright chilling. Keep watching, because the next piece is going to blow your mind. Okay, so the lawsuits are stacking up. The feds are hauling out wild evidence. Where does it all lead? Straight to the heart of something called freak-off parties. These aren't your average Hollywood bashes with champagne and selfies. According to the indictment, and whispers from people like Ally Carter, these were dark, twisted events Diddy allegedly orchestrated behind closed doors. We're talking gatherings that stretched over days, packed with escorts, drugs, and a vibe that wasn't exactly optional for everyone involved. The feds say Diddy didn't just throw these shindigs, he directed them, supplied them, and kept them running like a well-oiled machine. Sounds insane, right? But the details are what really turn your stomach. Picture this: rooms in his mansion set up for chaos. Think dim lights, heavy vibes, and a stash of narcotics handed out to keep people in line. The indictment claims Diddy and his crew flew in commercial escorts across state lines, sometimes internationally, to fuel these nights. And that mountain of baby oil and lube? Not just party favors, it's tied to what went down, stuff so intense that afterward, people needed IV fluids to bounce back from the strain. Ally Carter takes it further, saying some folks didn't even want to be there, trapped, out of it, forced into things they couldn't say no to. It's a far cry from the glitzy image of a music mogul, and it's got people asking, how deep did this go? What's even creepier is the control factor. Lawsuits hint at recordings, secret videos of these nights that Diddy allegedly kept as leverage. Imagine being caught on tape, no idea it's happening, while someone's pulling strings from the shadows. Carter's out there claiming it wasn't just adults either. Vulnerable people, some way too young, dragged into this mess. The feds don't confirm that part yet, but those AR-15s they found? They're not ruling out intimidation playing a role. Diddy's team says it's all nonsense, that these were just wild parties blown out of proportion. But when you've got over 1,000 bottles of lube and a rap sheet of accusations, that excuse starts sounding pretty thin. The fallout's messy too. These stories aren't just rumors, they're shaking up how we see the industry. If this is true, it's not just Diddy in the hot seat. It's a whole network of people who knew, stayed quiet, or cashed in. Ally's been yelling about celebs tied to this, names you'd recognize, fleeing when the heat turned up. Whether she's spot on or spinning tales, one thing's clear: these freak-offs are the thread tying the raids, the lawsuits, and the whispers together. But hang on, there's a whole other layer of crazy with the rumors flying around. What about those secret tunnels everyone's buzzing about? That's next, and it's gonna flip this story wide open. So, these freak-off parties sound like something out of a nightmare, but the internet's taken it to another level with rumors that'll make your head spin. Ever heard about secret tunnels linking Diddy's LA mansion to the Playboy mansion? Yeah, that's the kind of wild theory that blew up online after the raids. People were picturing underground lairs, hidden escapes, like some James Bond villain setup. Ally Carter's been fanning those flames, hinting at dark passageways where shady stuff went down unnoticed. It's the stuff of conspiracy dreams, and with Diddy's Holmby Hills spot just a stone's throw from Hugh Hefner's old haunt, you can see why folks ran with it. But is there any truth to this? Let's break it down. The feds did find something, an underwater swimming tunnel in Diddy's LA place that leads to a grotto. Sounds cool, right? It's a fancy feature in a $60 million mansion, not a secret trafficking route. Fact checkers, like the ones at Stylecaster, dug in and found zero evidence of tunnels connecting to the Playboy mansion, despite what the rumor mill churned out. That idea came from old stories about Hefner's place, but Diddy's property? No dice. Still, the internet doesn't care about facts when there's a good story. Posts on X lit up with theories. They found tunnels full of secrets, or that's how we move people around. It's juicy, sure, but it's more fiction than reality. What's feeding this frenzy? Partly the vibe of the raids, feds tearing through a mansion, hauling out bizarre evidence. It's easy to imagine hidden depths. Ally's claims don't help, tossing out ideas of underground horrors without receipts. Some say she's onto something, others call it noise. Then there's the dead bodies angle. Your competitor's script mentioned it, but there's no proof, not even in the indictment. That's pure speculation, probably amped up for clicks. The real intrigue? That underwater tunnel's legit, just not the scandal people want it to be. It's a pool perk, not a crime scene. Still, these rumors stick because they fit the chaos. A guy like Diddy, with all this heat, naturally spawns tales that go beyond what's proven. It's the mystery that keeps us hooked. Could there be more we're not seeing? For now, the tunnel talk's a bust, but it's not the last word. Because when you've got people like K-Do and Ali dropping their own first-hand bombshells, this story's got legs. What they saw, or say they saw, is up next, and it's going to hit you hard. All right, the tunnel rumors might have fizzled, but now we're stepping into territory that's raw and unfiltered. People who say they've seen Diddy's dark side up close. First up, Ali Carter. She's been loud online, claiming she's a survivor of Diddy's world, spilling tales that sound like horror movie plots. She says his mansions hid freak-off rooms where vulnerable folks, some way too young, were trapped, drugged, and forced into twisted acts. Carter's painted a grim scene. People stuck in their own filth, coerced into unspeakable stuff while Diddy watched. She's named big names too. Tyra Banks, Megan Fox, Steve Harvey, saying they're tied to this mess and bolted when the raids hit. It's a lot, and she's got no hard proof, but her story's got traction, especially since some of it echoes what the feds found. Then there's K-Do, a guy on TikTok who claims he's R. Kelly's estranged son. His story's wilder than fiction. He says he was buddies with Diddy's son Christian back in the day, crashing at their LA place as a teen. One night, he stumbled into a room expecting a bathroom. Instead, he found a freak-off in full swing. Toys, chaos, the works. Diddy caught him, asked if he liked it, and before he could process, another door popped open. Out walked Meek Mill, August Alsina, and Soulja Boy, fresh from their own session. K-Do swears it's real, says he was just 15, and it flipped his world. No evidence backs him up, just his word, but it's the kind of first-hand claim that sticks in your head. These stories are unverified. Let's be clear. Ali's been called out for inconsistencies, and K-Do's tale reads like a fever dream. Diddy's team says it's all nonsense, lies from clout chasers. But here's why it's tricky. Parts line up with the bigger picture. Carter's freak-off talk matches the indictment's party claims. K-Do's celeb sightings fit the vibe of Diddy's circle. Are they truth-tellers or just riding the wave? Hard to say. What's undeniable is the buzz X lights up with reactions, some swearing Ali's legit, others trashing her as a fraud. K-Do's clip? It's racked up views with folks debating every word. These accounts aren't proof, but they're fuel. They keep this fire burning, making you wonder what else might surface. And with Diddy's trial looming, the stakes are sky high. What's the real deal with these claims? That's where the law steps in next, and it's about to get intense. So Ali and K-Do dropped their bombshells, but where's this roller coaster headed? Right into the courtroom. As of today, March 5th, 2025, Diddy's not just dodging rumors. He's locked in a legal cage, facing charges that could bury him. It all went down in September 2024 when the feds arrested him in New York, slapping him with a trio of heavy hitters: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for illicit activities. This isn't a slap on the wrist. We're talking decades behind bars if it sticks. The indictment's a beast, alleging he ran a criminal enterprise through his empire, using coercion, drugs, and violence to keep his freak-offs rolling. It's the kind of rap sheet that turns a mogul into a mugshot. The trial's set for May 2025, and it's already a circus. Diddy's pleaded not guilty, his lawyers screaming he's a target of overzealous feds and greedy accusers. They've tried everything: bail requests, house arrest pleas, but the judge isn't budging. He's been cooling his heels in a Brooklyn jail since the arrest, denied bond 3 times because prosecutors say he's a flight risk with too much cash and clout. They've got evidence piling up: those raid fines, witness statements, and allegedly some of those secret recordings from the parties. Diddy's team counters it's all twisted. Legit business moves and wild nights spun into a conspiracy. Who's got the edge? We'll see when the gavel drops. What's insane is how this ties back to everything we've uncovered. The 1,000 bottles of lube, the rifles, the lawsuits. It's all in the indictment, painting a picture of a guy who didn't just party hard but crossed lines big time. Ali Carter's claims of trapped victims. The feds say trafficking's part of it, though they're not confirming her wilder stuff yet. K-Do's story? Unproven, but it fits the vibe of a world where power ruled. Diddy's not alone either. Prosecutors hint at associates who might get dragged in, and the industry's watching, nervous. Could this crack open a bigger can of worms? Right now, he's fighting for his life. Legally, at least. His $1 billion fortune's on the line, his legacy's crumbling, and every move's under a microscope. The raids were just the start. This trial's the main event. Will it prove he's a monster hiding in plain sight, or a scapegoat for a system out for blood? Either way, it's bigger than Diddy. It's about fame, accountability, and what happens when the mask slips. So, what's the final word on all this chaos? That's coming up, and it's going to leave you thinking long after the screen goes dark. So, here we are. Diddy's world flipped upside down, and we've peeled back every layer. From those jaw-dropping raids in March 2024, where feds stormed his mansions and hauled out a stash that'd make anyone blink twice, to the lawsuits painting him as a predator hiding behind fame, it's been a wild ride. The freak-off parties, dark, twisted nights fueled by drugs and control, tie it all together, with Ali Carter and Kadu swearing they saw the chaos firsthand. Rumors of secret tunnels fizzled, but the real shock's in what's proven. Over 1,000 bottles of lube, rifles, and a trial looming in May 2025 that could lock him away for good. Racketeering, trafficking, it's a fall from grace that's hard to fathom for a guy who once ruled the charts. But this isn't just about Diddy. It's a mirror held up to an industry that loves its glitter but hates the grime. How many others knew? How many turned away while the party rolled on? The feds say he didn't pull this off solo. There's a web here, and it might snag more names before it's done. Ali's pointing fingers at celebs who jetted off when the heat hit. And even if her story's shaky, it makes you wonder who's next. This trial's not just a verdict on one man, it's a reckoning for a culture that's dodged accountability too long. Will it change anything, or just fade into the next headline? Think about it. A billion-dollar empire built on beats and swagger, now teetering on the edge of a prison cell. Those mansions, once symbols of success, now feel like crime scenes, their walls whispering secrets we might never fully hear. The photos from the raids, the whispers of coercion, the weight of those charges, it's a story that sticks with you. Is Diddy the villain everyone's chasing, or a scapegoat for bigger shadows? We'll find out soon enough. But one thing's clear. Fame's a mask, and when it slips, the truth cuts deep. So, what do you think? Are Ali and Kay due onto something, or just riding the chaos for clout? Will this trial rip the lid off Hollywood's underbelly, or let it simmer in silence? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear every take. And if this hooked you, click that next video for more messy truths you won't see coming. This isn't the end. It's a spark. What happens when the fire spreads? That's up to us to watch unfold.